Hi, hello. My name's Fawnde. Today I'm going to be making a time-lapse video of a large storage build I did on the server I was playing on. I hope you enjoy, thank you for tuning in, and let's get right into it. Just as any build does, mine started with a bunch of excavation and clearing out land to build my storage in, and, well, as you can see, I had to clear out quite a bit. Took a lot of time, more than I wanted, but it's a necessary part of any build. Unfortunately, I'm stupid, and I still tried to build underground. And building underground means a lot of excavation. Thankfully, the blocks can go back into the actual build itself. Sadly, I will never get this time back. I love building, but my god, is it ridiculous as to how much time it takes for one person to do all of this. It's phenomenal. Absolutely horrendous. After finally finishing excavation, I decided to start with the floor first. I wanted to go for a very stonish look, maybe like a castle look, to fit the underground theme. I decided to use a bunch of grays, and I decided that I would use blackstone as an accent color to this very harsh gray color scheme here. I think it ended up looking pretty nice. I used some furnaces to spruce it up a little bit as well. Not too difficult, pretty simple, but it gives a bit of life to the floor that wouldn't normally be there. Once the floor was done, I needed to start on the walls. After all, this is a storage facility, and we need somewhere to store all the chests and our items. So I planned to have the walls go inwards and just have a bunch of sideways placed chests. For this, I decided to make a very nice pattern of chests going all the way around, and I decided to use prismarine and other water-related blocks to spice it up. I don't know why I chose these blocks, but I did. And I also decided to use I probably chose these blocks because I decided to use sea lanterns behind the chest to help illuminate everything. I think it ended up looking pretty nice, and it was, I have to tell you, it's a real pain getting that much prismarine and sea lanterns, but in the day I think it was pretty worth it for the look. Now it's time to put the chest in. Now let me tell you, there are a lot of chests in this place. Each floor holds nearly 13 stacks of chests. That's a lot of storage. Anyway, it was more of a pain trying to put them in there without them going in sideways or going in the wrong way, and I have to break them then replace them. Real hassle. However, I like it. After I finished the first floor, it was finally time to start on the big main project for the storage. The reason I made it so large wasn't because I wanted a lot of storage. It's because I wanted to have a roughly made statue as the centerpiece of the storage system. So I figured I might as well make the statue first before I continue with the floors up higher and higher, so I know how tall I actually need to make this. Of course, I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to make, so I started out with making a nice little centerpiece, and then I started making I guess it's a sword, I don't know what it is. Next up was the body of the actual person. I decided I would make a semi-humanoid person, so of course I start at the legs. Doing this in survival isn't that easy, not to mention I'm pretty bad at making organics in the first place. This is one of the few organics I've ever tried to make. But you know what? I was going to give it a shot. It was going to be the main centerpiece of the storage, and I was going to do my best. So I started building leg by leg, going up and up, using a main palette of stone brick, cracked stone brick, and chiseled stone brick to try and keep the same stony look of a statue while being diverse enough to not make the statue look super flat and lifeless. As you can see, I eventually got up to the head and started to finalize the shape of the statue. However, this next part was hell. I wanted to give the statue a very tattered, rough-looking black cloak and a scarf that went around its neck. And, well, placing all this blackstone swaying off the back of it was a nightmare. An absolute nightmare. Regardless about my pain, as you can see from here, the statue ended up looking alright. It's nothing amazing. There's plenty of much cooler statues out there. However, it fits in for the build I'm going for, and it did exactly what it needed to. It's a nice centerpiece that you can see whenever you're walking around the storage. For the next floor, I basically copied the same design, You may be thinking to yourself, Fawnde, don't you think 13 chests are enough for storage? 13 stats of chests. Well, why use 13 stats of chest when you can have 26 stats of chest in your storage facility? So I just copy and pasted more or less the same thing to the floor above it. And I did the same exact thing for the third floor, except instead of using chests, I customized every room to have a different purpose. For example, a lot of the rooms were used for individual sheep farms, so we'd have every color dyed sheep. There was also room for farming dyes, potion making, armor smith, transportation, you name it, we had it. At this point, I had spent countless hours getting resources, building and mining for this project, and I was pretty sick and tired of all the work, and I just wanted to finish it. So we weren't nearly at the statue height, so I was like, okay, screw it. I'm not making any more than wolf floors, so I made the fourth floor probably about twice, maybe 3 times the size of the other floors, and made it just decoration. Just straight up decoration. That would lead into the ceiling. I was very much so ready to get this done and to move on with my life, and actually just, use the storage. And I was pretty excited to be very close to finally finishing the actual building part of this. After finishing the fourth floor, I was prepared to start working on the ceiling, and I felt a flat roof wouldn't fit the statue and the entire aspect of all this very well, so I decided to make a nice dome roof. So firstly, obviously I started with the structure of it, then I needed to fill it in with colors, and I figured I would stick with the black concrete like I used on the fourth floor. And for whatever reason, I said, you know what, I'm going to use red as the other color. And I used various blocks of red. I think, end of the day, it turned out pretty well. And, of course, I finished it off with a very nice smiley face to finally seal off this build. Oh, it's not done yet, though. Because if you remember, I ended up excavating part of an entire mountain. So that means now I can't just have my storage system exposed to the skies, so now I have to re-terraform all this land. Boy, was that fun. Starting with stone, I went up to make it look like the mountain, and then of course on the very top I used a bunch of dirt to try and cover it in and make it look more natural. Eventually I'd add trees and make everything look better, but I did a pretty rushed job, but it looked alright. The build's done, and that means this video is coming to an end. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. I'd be very thankful if you'd thought about maybe subscribing or checking me out on any of my other platforms. Besides being a part-time YouTuber, I'm also a VTuber and a streamer on Twitch. I also have a Patreon where I offer certain things for obviously monthly payments. Just a bunch of things about me. I will link my website down below, which will hold all that information. And thank you very much for being here. As you can see, we're currently looking at the overview of this entire build. Ended up being very fun. And I just want to say one thing before I go. I worked on this for 3 days, and as soon as I finished it, everyone quit the server. The biggest waste of time in my entire life. So I really hope this video does good. God. Thank you so much. Goodbye and take care of yourself. I hate